So now what we want to examine is graphically how a firm is going to maximize their profits or minimize their losses in a perfectly competitive industry. So again, we will start here. And we know the demand curve is just going to be a horizontal line at whatever the prevailing market price is. So again, let's say that that price is $1. And we also know that that is equivalent to our marginal revenue curve. So we already learned in previous lectures that every firm is going to produce based on what we call the supply rule. And the supply rule states that every firm will either maximize profits or minimize losses if they produce where marginal revenue equals marginal cost, or more specifically, increasing marginal cost. So that means what we need on this graph now is our marginal cost curve. So let's go ahead and just put that on there. And what we're looking for again is where the point where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. And so that is going to be the point at which these two curves intersect. So that's going to be right there. And then that will tell us the quantity of output that we need to produce. So let's say, for example, that was 10 units of output. So now we know that in order for the firm to either maximize profits or minimize losses, they need to produce 10 units of output. So what we can calculate right now would be our total revenue. We already learned that price times quantity equals total revenue. So the price of the product is $1. The quantity we're selling is 10. Therefore, our total revenue at this point is $10. So if you were shading in your total revenue, then you would be shading in that entire square going from here down here, up and over. That represents your total revenue. But again, we want to know whether or not this firm is having a profit or a loss, so we need our average total cost function on this graph also. So let's go ahead and draw that in here. Let's say that our average total cost function looks something like that. And remember, the average total cost function tells us on average how much each unit of output is costing us at the quantity of output we're producing. So we look for the point where our quantity of output intersects our average total cost curve, which is right here, and then you just pull that over to see what your cost per unit is. So let's say, for example, that was 90 cents. So our average cost per unit is 90 cents. So what I need to figure out now is what is my total cost. So we know that total cost is going to be average total cost times quantity of output gives me my total cost. So my average total cost per unit is 90 cents. We are producing 10 units of output. Therefore, our total cost is $9. Right? So now I figured out what my total costs are, what my total revenue is, so now I can calculate out my profit, because my profit is going to be total revenue minus total cost. So my total revenue, $10, total cost, $9. Therefore, 10 minus 9 equals 1. So we have a positive economic profit of $1. So if you were shading in the firm's profit, that would be this little sliver right here. That would be shaded in as the firm's total profit. Everything below that is what would be your total costs. In other words, that's what it's costing you to produce, and then whatever's left over is your profit. So in this example, the firm had positive economic profit. All right, but of course we know that there's different type of profits that the firm can have. So let's say, for example, that we had information that looked like this. So again, we have our demand curve at $1. Here's our marginal revenue curve. Again, we need our marginal cost curve to be put on this graph so that we know the quantity of output that we're going to produce. Pull that down, tells us the quantity of output. And let's say that our average total cost function looked like this. Well, now our average total cost function is actually intersecting at the same point of our marginal cost, marginal revenue curve. So basically what we're saying is that the price that we're charging is $1. It's costing us $1 for each unit of output. Therefore, the firm is just having zero economic profit, Remember, whenever your average cost per unit is equivalent to the price that you're charging, then that means that you're just breaking even, right? You're having that normal accounting profit, or what we call zero economic profit. So that's what would be going on here. In other words, each unit of output is costing us $1, and each unit of output is bringing us in marginal revenue of $1, which means we are breaking even. And of course, the last thing that can happen is that we can have negative economic profit. So if a firm is having negative economic profit, that means that the cost per unit is exceeding the price that they're able to charge. So we do the same thing, have our graph like so, and then let's say that our average total cost curve is like so. So again, let's say that we're at $1 here. We're currently producing 10 units of output, and in this case we don't intersect our cost curve till we get up here. So that means our average total cost, let's say, was like $1.50. So now we can see that the firm is minimizing their losses by producing where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. Because again, if I asked you to shade in the firm's total revenue, that would be the point where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. So this would be this area right here, and we know the value of that is price times quantity. So the total revenue, 1 times 10, that would be 10. And then if I asked you to shade in the firm's total costs, well, that's going to be even a larger area, right? Because we intersect our average total cost curve up here. So average total costs would be all of this. So you do $1.50 times 10, so the total costs would be 15. So again, you take the difference, 10 minus 15, and you come up with -5. So this firm is having negative economic profit of $5. So again, if you were shading in the firm's loss, you would just be shading in this area right here. This is how much the firm is losing. So this presents a whole different set of issues for the firm in the short run. Basically, if a firm is having negative economic profit in the short run, they need to figure out whether or not they should continue to produce or whether they should actually shut the firm down. So we're going to talk about that in the next slide.